Hello everybody and welcome back to the Placement Diary. I'm aware it's been a couple of days. Actually no, that's not true. I'm actually on schedule now. I'm just so used to saying that. It's a very bad start to the video, of course. As you might have noticed, I have a new microphone here. I purchased this for things out with this Placement Diary, but I thought, you know, if I've got it, I might as well have a nice audio quality to my videos as well. So yeah, let's just get started. Today was my first day back in the nursery after a 2 week and a day holiday. Well, I say 2 week and a day holiday. It was a 2 week Easter holiday and a one day that was in service, that after discussing at length with the practitioners, we decided that my time would be better spent out with the nursery because of what they intended to do. They were away to visit a new premises to sort out electricity and have discussions basically with people who were going to run that building, and really it just wouldn't have served me any purpose to be there according to them. So I decided to spend that day recording a video of just an entire reflection of the placement so far for the 3 weeks. I'm not really sure what's reflected in my glasses here, but it's really starting to bug me. Doesn't seem like there's much of a way of stopping it, but never mind. Yeah, so I've recorded that, and the reason it's not uploaded is it's kind of... I think the file might be corrupt. It plays to a certain point and then it just cuts out, and then the audio loss, and then there's some video loss. So I'm just going to leave it just now. I will upload it, but later on I might have to re-record parts of it, if not the whole thing. So without further ado, let's move on to today. It was interesting to be back, first of all. I was slightly nervous on my way back up. I didn't know if I had to basically start from scratch with the children again, if I was going to have to completely regain their trust and their, I wouldn't even say their attention, but their respect. That's a good word to use. I didn't know if I was going to have to start from scratch or not, obviously, because I was 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. In hindsight, it might have been better to perhaps work around that in a different way, you know, maybe just go for the full 4 weeks, maybe 2 weeks off and then 2 weeks on. That might have been a better way of doing it, but I kind of just complied with the placement rules and just did the 3 and 3. I know that other people have changed that, but never mind. Moving swiftly onward, I got back and I was happy to see that that wasn't the case whatsoever. The children took to me as they always have done. I was greeted with lots of "Ewan's back, hooray," you know, just cheers and stuff, which was really reassuring and great for me. It put my mind completely at ease. Now, I didn't know what I was coming back to because I'd been off for the 2 weeks. There was a lot happening in terms of staff changing. They have found a new member of staff, but the chances are that she won't start until after I leave. So I'm still going to be responsible for the green group on Thursday and Friday. But luckily, I say luckily, but the deputy manager is off for sort of annual leave this week. Now, I know that could be viewed as a negative, but it's a positive for me because it means I get to have her group all week, which means I have continuous planning and I can experience working with the same set of children for an entire week. And that's two, if we're going to speak like school things, it's 2 lessons a week. It's not really lessons, it's like play activities. But I have them for 2 a day for the whole week. So I was kind of thrown in at the deep end, and I liked that. That was something that I really enjoyed. It's something that I rose to the challenge, as it were. So we arrived, everything was good. We went to the circle time as usual. Some of the children were back after a 2 week break. They also had some, but some children stayed on because of parents' work commitments, I believe. So the nursery was full once again, and everyone was just kind of discussing what they did during the holidays if they were away, and then if not, what they did in the nursery. It was good because it let the children who were away share their experiences without excluding those who were sort of there in the nursery at the time, as you know, they were allowed to share the experiences that they had, and it looked like they had a really fun time. There was lots of sort of face painting in the back garden when the weather was good. So, you know, everyone had their piece to say, and that was really good. Other things that happened, yeah, we started to discuss what the plans might be for the week, because the staff really weren't planning ahead for this week, as you know, if you're planning in accordance with the children, you need to have the children's input. You know, they have to that's how they plan. They plan based on what the children want to do, as I've mentioned numerous times before. So they took it upon themselves to do that today, which was great. Just during circle time, they just asked, what would you like to do this week, and what's happening at the end of the week, and then there was going to be Easter. So the entire week's activities are going to be based around Easter. That kind of fits in well. It's a good follow-on from what I was doing 2 weeks ago with the growing and planting. So that's really good to see that, you know, you're building upon prior knowledge and you're getting the chance to do something topical as well. Now, the group that I have to take over is I believe they are the youngest group in the nursery. So that provides a challenge within itself, because there's a lot of things that they just can't do. Not a lot of things that I can try and help them do for the future, which is what I ended up doing. But there's a lot that they can't just, you know, go and do. Like, they can't go and cut something out. They can't, you know, fold paper in half directly. You know, things like that. So I thought, let's make that a positive. Let's see what we can do with them. So I stuck with the theme of the theme of Easter, and obviously I didn't have, like, you know, a plan of any type. I didn't have a lesson plan, because it was obviously my first day back, and then they were just kind of asked, can you do this? And I was like, well, yeah, of course, I'm not going to say no. You know, I'm always one to try something new. So I went ahead and did it, and what I ended up doing was an Easter card. Now, that might not sound like the most inventive thing in the world, but the way in which I did it, I thought, was quite, to toot my own horn, I suppose. I really enjoyed the idea of it, and when I sort of asked the children about it, I built upon their ideas as well. So what I had originally planned to do was to make an Easter card with them that they would take home to their mums and dads. I would write their name on it, and I would write Happy Easter on it, and I would cut out this Easter rabbit. Now, basically, the Easter rabbit was just a colouring in sheet that I got from Google, and it will be found in my folder, of course. And I just let them colour this in. This was for the first group activity during the day. Now, while they were colouring it in, I had an open discussion with the group, in which I was asking, so Ewan's going to have you all week. What would you like to do? What kind of things would you like to do? Because our theme is Easter, so what kind of things do you think we should do? There's a lot of things discussed. A lot of the ideas came. I've got a couple of them here on this piece of paper. We have cards, which was my idea, so I can't count that. Eggs, cakes, and decorations were 3 things. Now, bear in mind, these children are 2, and the ones that are 3, I don't believe there's any 3. Maybe there is a couple that are 3, but they have literally just turned 3. You know, they're very, very young children, and I did white balance. Oh God, hang on a second. Let me get something darker. Now, these children are very, very young. There we go. It's not much better. Never mind. I'm wasting time. So these children are very, very young, and for them to be coming up with any ideas at all is an achievement. So the things that they said, I tried to build upon as best I could. We had eggs, cakes, decorations, and presents were the 4 things that they said. So I thought, okay, well, I'll see what I can do with that. I will incorporate that into the rest of the week. I'll see what I can plan ahead to do with cakes and decorations. So I spoke to some of the practitioners, and they were like, yeah, you can definitely make cakes. We have an oven in the back. None of the children in that group have any allergies. By all means, speak to the manager and get some eggs in, and you're obviously more than welcome to. But a lot of people seem to be doing that. Now that kind of worries me. I don't want to look like I'm just kind of taking everyone else's ideas, when really it was the children that suggested it to me. So we'll see how that progresses as the week goes on. I'm not going to commit to anything just now, but I will do exactly what the children want me to do. If they express a great interest in doing cakes, I will do that. So this discussion took place. Obviously these sessions are in half an hour slots, so I discussed that with them, and once we came to the conclusion of what we were going to do, they had finished colouring in the rabbits. So that was the end of group time, and then it went to free play. I went with the sheets that they had coloured in, and I cut them all out, because there are certain activities in which you can improve a child's cutting. I have learned when I've been at the nursery. You know, these are like, if you give them magazines and say cut that out, they can practice cutting there. But for this card, I found it to be more acceptable for me to cut it out, especially because of the age the children are. They don't really even know how to hold a pair of scissors as of yet. That's not something that they've developed to the stage of being able to do. So instead of interfering with that and trying to let them cut out themselves, I thought myself, these are only 2 half-an-hour slots, I'd be as well doing this, and then they can do the rest, which is exactly what happened. I cut them out, and I cut the ears off the rabbit. Now, this is kind of where I went with it. I cut the ears off the rabbit, and then folded over some pieces of card for them. I wrote inside Happy Easter, love from, and then the child's name. After that, during the afternoons group time, I got them all together again, and I got them to draw a picture on the inside of the card of something Eastery. I gave them a list of things. You can draw an egg, you can draw another rabbit, or you can draw, I'm pretty sure there was a third one that I said. It might have been like a basket of eggs or something. I kind of just gave them ideas. Now this was essentially, at risk of sounding horribly cheeky, it was just to kind of keep them busy until I worked individually with each child. So they were drawing inside, and then I grabbed each child individually and said, can you put I kind of put the glue down in front of them. I was like, so what's this? And he said, oh, that's glue. I was like, what do you use the glue for? You use it to stick things down. So what do you think we're going to do to a rabbit? It's like, we're going to stick it on the card. And I was like, yeah, where about? And they could locate that it would go in the front. I asked each child the same style of questions, and they all knew. But for the ones who weren't too sure, I was like, I kind of tried to make it a little bit more, I tried to explain it better to them. So I was saying, okay, this is glue, what do you use it for? And then they were like sticking things down. It's like, so where would you put it? And I think one of the children said, I'll put it on the back. It's like, that's not a bad idea, but do you not think it would be better to go on the front so that your mum can see it? And then he was like, okay. So it was like I was kind of reinforcing is not the word. I can't really even decide what the word would be there. It's been a very long day, as you can imagine. And I'm correcting in a positive way that this is where it should go, because it would look better there. That's how cards would look. That's where the picture on a real card would be. In the future, if I had time to plan this, maybe it would have been a good idea to have an example of a real card to have in front of the children at the time. But of course, time permitting, that wasn't applicable. So, once they had all had them stuck down, I took them over to a different table, and I got them to make the ears of the rabbit, since I cut the ears off by, covering their hands and covering one hand in paint, left ear, other hand in paint, right ear, wash their hands, put it out to dry, and sort of just rinse and repeat. And it actually went really well. I have some pictures here. Maybe I can just actually show them here. This would have been maybe a good idea to put on the computer beforehand, but as I said, it's been one of those days. I've not stopped since I've got in. But hang on 1 second. Here are some of the, if we can get some focus on here, some white balance. That's some of the rabbits before I stuck them down, the earless rabbits, as you were. And here are some of the final products. Now, obviously, the ears were white, so this can be quite difficult to see. In fact, this might actually be impossible to see because of white balance. Now, here we go. So we stuck it down to the card, and then you can kind of see the little bits of white at the top. Those are the ears of the rabbits made of the handprints of the children. The white balance is correct again. Happy days. So if you want to actually see the final products, photos of them will be in my folder, of course. You can ask for that at any time. If you want to see it before then, drop a comment down below and I will provide a link to the picture, even if it's just an HTML link or a download link of some kind, some description. I will show that to you. All in all, I thought that was really good. It was really good for me to sort of experience further with the youngest of the young children, and obviously see, pertaining back to my placement goals of resource management and language development, more to the language development side, I was able to see how they would communicate and what kind of words they were choosing. They knew what glue meant, they knew what paint meant. They were fairly advanced children, I must admit, especially for their age. They were all very capable of coherent sentences, which I'm sure I've mentioned before when I've worked with this group, but it was really good to work with them again, I think, and having that continuity for the rest of the week is going to be really good for me. I can kind of build upon what I've done already. I haven't planned what I'm going to do for the rest of the week, but I have the ideas there from the children, and I will definitely try my best to build upon them. Other than that, today I just spent a lot of the time liaising with the staff and with the children. There's not much to say other than that. I've mentioned in my weekly my halfway reflection video, I think I called it, that the nature of my placement started off in this way where I was focusing mainly on language development, and I was focusing on the managerial side with pertaining to resources and how resources are organised and managed and ordered, etc. And I feel like I've done that for the 3 weeks, and that's fine. But the nature of the placement has kind of shifted a little bit to the point where I'm kind of learning more about the role in which the staff members play at the nursery and how they deal with children on a day-to-day basis. And I've basically, I don't want to say it's like I've been training to work in the nursery, but that's kind of how it's played out. Now, that's not a bad thing, and I mean, I could have at any time turned around and said, no, I don't want to do this, but I think it's been really interesting, and it's been something really good for me to learn. It's something I will definitely bring up in my Viva once I have that with my tutor at the end, is that the nature of the placement changed, but I don't think it changed for the worse. I think it kind of changed a little bit for the better. Yes, I'm still compiling my child files and talking about talking about how their language is development and kind of observing them. Yes, I'm still looking out for resources and how they're ordered and stuff, but a lot of that stuff was answered in the first couple of weeks, you know, and with the child files, it's kind of continuous. Now, the child files themselves, they're not the longest thing in the world by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they're only a couple of sides of A4 for each child, just noticing things and pertaining to specifically to language development that I have noticed. And that's really as far as I can take that. I mean, I've made a couple of references to reading here and there, but it has really just become not training for a job, but it's become kind of more along the lines of I'm part of the staff team and I'm being treated that way, and I'm being treated that way by the children, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm definitely getting some valuable experience here. Not the experience necessarily I came for. I mean, when I came here, I wanted to learn about the language development so I could spot problems in the primary school when I saw them when I was there, if you know what I mean, so that I could maybe see where it went wrong in nursery. But that's not really what it's ended up being. It's kind of ended up being that I've learned how important it is to direct the attention of lessons, to direct the nature of lessons, how lessons progress to the needs and wants of the children. I think that's been the biggest lesson that I've learned here, that the needs and wants of the children are so important that if you can pertain to their interests, if you can speak to them on their level, then your lessons and activities and playtimes, they can run so much more smoothly. I mean, it's testament from what even the activities I've planned. The first one was the Lego castles, because I thought that's what children would like. I'm like, oh, there's mostly girls in this group. There's one boy. I didn't know there was a boy. I thought it was all girls at the time. I was like, we'll get Lego because children like Lego, and then we'll get a castle because little girls like castles. And the activity did work. I mean, it went okay. But I got a lot of negative feedback, like, oh, this is kind of boring, and we don't really want to do this anymore. But then when I moved on to doing the woolly sheep and then the hand flowers, and then even today the Easter cards, actually listening to what the children were saying, they've loved every activity I've done so far. I had a little girl from a group I previously worked with come up to me today after the Easter card and says, oh, Ewan, I really, really want to make one of these. Can you show me how to make it? So, you know, I'm getting the same out of it as if I was planning it on my terms, old-fashioned way, like this is what I'm doing because I'm the teacher and I'm right and I know what's good for the children. But by listening to them and taking on their ideas, it's getting everything I want out of it, but it's making it really enjoyable for the children, and they want to engage, and if they're willing to engage, there's a lot less behavioural issues, So, it wouldn't be a placement vlog without a massive rant halfway through, would it? So thank you again for joining me. I will be back again tomorrow, and thank you for following with me this far. It's been some journey, to be honest. It's just ever changing. No 2 days are ever the same in that place, and I really do enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie and say that that's where I could see myself in the early years. I think I'm much more suited to the sort of middle school to higher school level, and that's maybe just my personal opinion, but it'll be interesting to see how that progresses as my career progresses through the university, and how this placement will change me, if it does at all. So thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow.